At the Travel Dialogue podcast, our goal is to make you a smarter traveler. Now, we've already done some deep dives into loyalty programs, credit cards, and reward programs. However, there's nothing like actual travel experience. So, in addition to learning about travel and loyalty programs, what really matters is how the actual travel experience is. And we will be talking to someone who has been to a destination that has been on the radar for a lot of travelers of late. Jump of almost 50% in inbound visitors in the last year or so. That number continues to grow, and this destination continues to be one of the most popular international travel destinations for now. Many of you smart people out there must have already guessed that I am speaking about Japan. It's been really, really popular of late, and today's guest has just come back from Japan. Today, we'll be talking to my friend Mihir Patki, and he will be talking in depth about his experience and sharing some useful tips and tricks in case you're planning a trip to Japan very soon. Mihir Patki is an experienced investment professional with a deep passion for personal finance and nutrition. He is also the author of the book, The Health and Wealth Paradox. Now, like many in our community, he has a deep passion for travel, having lived and traveled abroad quite frequently. So, without any further delay, let's get started with Mihir Patki as he speaks about his trip to Japan. One of the missions of this podcast is to make you a smarter traveler by sharing some fascinating travel stories from around the world. And one of those stories really comes from a destination that has been really, really popular of late for many travelers. And I'm happy to introduce my friend Mihir Patki, who has just returned from Japan. And he is going to share his experience and travel advice for all those who are looking to go to this dream destination. So, Mihir, welcome to the podcast. Happy to have you on.
Thank you, Ashish. Pleasure to be here.
So, tell me something about Japan. There are so many amazing destinations around the world. Any particular reason why you decided to pick Japan and strike it off your bucket list?
So, Japan was always on our bucket list for a lot of years, but the timing wasn't right. My daughter was younger. She wouldn't have appreciated Japan. She wouldn't have been able to walk so much. So, a lot of things worked out this year. My daughter turned 10. I think the perfect age to explore a new culture. Moreover, there was a sale on the two Japanese airlines, JAL and ANA. A combination of all of this made it just hard to resist. And my wife has been learning Japanese since school, but she's never been to Japan. So that was also another reason why Japan was on our bucket list. So finally, this year we made it.
That is amazing. I mean, one of the great things, especially in terms of connectivity, is the fact that there are direct flights. Even recently, we made a trip to Seychelles, and one of the biggest reasons why we chose that destination is because direct flights started from April. And before that, it was always a bit of a hassle trying to plan that trip. Tell me, before you decided to go to Japan, have you been around Southeast Asia and any particular reason why, okay, now we decided let's try something different? What has been your travel around Southeast Asia like?
So we've been quite a lot around Southeast Asia. In fact, so much that my daughter learned to use chopsticks on her own. So that's the amount of travel we've done in Southeast Asia. Usual suspects, Singapore, multiple places in Thailand, Bali, Hong Kong, Vietnam. So, the usual suspects. Japan was different because it's a bit disconnected from Southeast Asia. It's to the absolute end.
Correct.
And moreover, Japan is a very unique combination of South Asian hospitality and food and absolutely first world infrastructure. And to that, you add the politeness and friendliness of the people and the local culture. It just makes it an irresistible combination.
So, when you decided that you were planning on going to Japan, what was the planning process like? So, let's say you decide you had to first decide the duration of the trip and then narrow down which places you want to visit in Japan. So, walk us through that process and why you picked A over B.
Yeah, so I think it all started with the ANA sale coming on. The tickets were, I think, about 40,000 odd. I'm rounding up numbers here per person. with a return flight Mumbai Tokyo on a very very comfortable airline of ANA. Unlike some other airlines in Southeast Asia where you have issues with legroom, etc. Great food, great space, great entertainment system, and direct flight. So 40,000 all in return, including a local leg from Tokyo to Osaka. So Mumbai, Tokyo, Tokyo, Osaka, and Tokyo, Mumbai. So we first locked in on the dates. This was about 6-7 months prior to our scheduled time. We went for a period of 12 days. And once the flights were booked, then we started researching locally where all we want to be. So we created a Excel sheet, put in the usual destinations for a first time Japan traveler. Like if we go the next time, our itinerary will be very, very different. So started off in Tokyo, about 5 nights. From there, moved to Osaka, 3 nights. From there, moved to Kyoto, 2 nights there, and one more final night in Tokyo before we took the return flight. So after the flight bookings, we started looking at hotels. Our priorities were of course, it has to be within a reasonable budget because Tokyo hotels are just exorbitant. Not only absolute money wise, but also size wise. So you will end up paying 15 to 20,000 for a hotel room which will be so tiny that you will have to think before you open your suitcase to pack and unpack.
Correct.
Right. So there were many times I would tell my daughter, you go stand in the passageway because I want to open the bag, and if you stand here, it will not be. There's not enough space to open it. Right. Rooms are comfortable, very clean, but small. So finding the right hotel close to a metro station, that was the second filter. Because if you're staying far away from a metro station, there's just so much walking in Japan. You don't want to add another 15-20 minutes of walk just to get to the metro station. So you're literally like 100-150 meters away from a metro station.
And then, in case of both the flights and the hotels, did you book directly with the airline and the hotel, or did you use any other third party vendor or any other website?
So for ANA, we booked directly with the airline. I realized later we could have used the HDFC Smart Buy portal using the Diners Black or Infinia card, wherein I had quite a lot of accumulated points, and the same offer was on there. But we missed that because it was such a lucrative offer. We said let's just book. If it's seen on the ANA website, it might not come back again, but it keeps coming back every 2 months or so. For the hotels, we did booking.com simply because we are booking way in advance and we wanted flexibility. So we changed our hotel a couple of times. So first we just locked in a few hotels and then did more research and then zeroed in on the final hotels where we stayed. So booking.com was helpful that way because the bookings were totally refundable.
So, did you have any particular preference in terms of you mentioned that the proximity to a metro station was really one of the key priorities. Did you focus on any particular hotel chain, or you're pretty much split across the board?
No focus on a particular hotel chain, because if you look at the known hotel chains like Marriott or so, they are extremely expensive. I'm not going to spend 70-80,000 rupees a night for a stay in a city unless it's like I'm going to an exotic island on a resort or something like that. So there are a lot of local chains. We stayed in Tokyo. We stayed in Daiwa Roynet. Daiwa has a lot of hotels. These are generally 3 or 4 stars. In Osaka, we stayed in Holiday Inn, very very conveniently located, very family friendly. So Japan normally has, if you book a place for 3 people, it will suggest you 2 rooms because the rooms are very tiny.
Correct.
Holiday Inn is one of the few chains which will give you 3 single beds in a single room. And after getting crammed up on a small double bed with the three of us, those 3 single beds were, I think we had our most comfortable sleep in Japan in Holiday Inn. And in Kyoto, we stayed in a chain called My Stays. Again, conveniently located, and I think it was a 3 star again. But in terms of cleanliness and service levels, you will not find a bad deal in Japan. So it's not
Correct.
like if you book a cheaper hotel, you're going to have to compromise on hygiene. Yeah, you may have to compromise a little bit on the space, but on the hygiene, I don't think you can go wrong.
So you mentioned that you booked some of the hotels in advance via booking.com. How does that tie in with the way the visa process works? Were there any non-refundable or refundable bookings required prior to the visa application, and how much time did that take?
So visa application was very smooth. In fact, one of the reasons we avoid going to Europe is the long process of the Schengen visa. Although we've lived in Europe, our history has been excellent there. uh, just applying for a visa again is a big piece of friction. So Japan is very smooth. The visa costs some 500 rupees. VFS charges actually are 1500, which is more than the visa cost itself. And either you can go yourself or you can send an agent. There's no biometric.
Mhm.
So it's just sending very, very limited documents. We are lucky enough to get a 5-year visa, multiple entry, without asking for it. So, and
Nice.
that just makes us more sure that we'll definitely be visiting Japan at least two times in the next 5 years.
That's actually
For
fantastic.
and a lot of travelers get it, right? If you have a
Nice.
decent enough travel history, I think it's you get it without asking. A lot of our friends whom we have been talking to echo the same story. So for the visa, we just had to show our flight bookings, we had to show our hotel bookings, and a one-page itinerary, and the usual bank statements, income tax
Correct.
returns, etc. Right? But not like Schengen, where your application is like this thick, so it's like hardly few pages.
My experience with Schengen has also been like that. So when I applied about 10 years back for a Schengen visa, the funny part is that they gave me a multiple entry visa, but it was only for 3 weeks for a 2 week trip. So it was a bit of a joke. Like, why would I go twice in 3 weeks to the way to Europe? Anyway, so one more question about your flights. You mentioned those deals about JAL and ANA. What kind of decision making was involved in terms of selecting the airports? Did you consider going to Haneda or Narita? Any particular reasons or preferences over there?
So the international flights mainly fly into Narita, and the domestic flights generally are at Haneda. This is not like a set rule, but most of the flights that I have seen, Narita is quite far from the city. Haneda is more within the city, but it doesn't really matter. The metro system is so evolved. In fact, we didn't even take the limousine or the Sky Access, which is or Skyliner, I think, which is the express train from the airport into the city. We just took a local train. I think it's called Sky Access. So Skyliner is, I think, the express, and Sky Access is the local. And it was a standard metro local train. We walked in with our luggage. There was space to keep the luggage. And we just booked our tickets on the fly. We didn't have to plan much. And we reached the city in about an hour. And that's the average commute time that you are used to staying in Mumbai, right? So a
Yes.
1 hour comfortable ride, and you get off 100 meters from your hotel. The choice of airport really, really doesn't matter. To the extent that our local flight from Tokyo to Osaka was, I think, at 6:40 in the morning, and the cab, and that was from Haneda, and
Mhm.
the cab from our hotel to Haneda was costing about 12,000 yen. That's about 7,000 Indian rupees for a 15-minute ride. But we decided just to take the metro, and we reached. It just took us maybe 15 minutes more than an Uber, but the cost was like maybe 2,000 odd INR for the three of us put together, and you ride in straight into the airport.
So when the reason why I asked that question was, I believe there is a Delhi Haneda flight which Air India operates. So I think I'm probably guessing that the flights from Mumbai then are only to Narita and not to Haneda.
Possible. Yeah, possible. But I don't think Air India has the deal which JL and ANA are offering. And if you are making a trip, I'm pretty sure you'll want to optimize on the flight costs. And it's not just the low cost upfront; it's also the internal legs that JL and ANA give you.
Interesting. So in terms of the metro and the train setup over there, how does it work? Do you need to buy a one-time pass, or how does it work? Did you buy any sort of deal for that as well?
So there are multiple options. You get passes for specific hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, etc. And they work out to be significantly cheaper. The other option is you can get a Suica, which is like an Oyster card. So you just load it up and then you tap and go. You can also get a Suica on your Apple Wallet with the Suica app. There's also something called as Passmo. These are all interchangeable. So we just got our Suicas at the airport. There's a vending machine. Just punch in a few buttons and your info, and your card is ready. And you can recharge the Suica almost at every metro station. Suicas can be used even at convenience stores and even at local vending machines. So there are two types of Suicas. One is a welcome Suica, which is not linked to your name. You don't get a refund for it. So you have to finish up all the balance that you load. And one is a Suica which is registered to your name. So you get a refund whenever you are leaving. But we just got the welcome Suicas. They are with us right now. We made fridge magnets out of them.
And now that you have a 5-year visa, you can always go back and
Yeah, no, but
use them.
it expires in 28 days. So when we go back,
Oh,
we'll have to get another Suica. Yeah. The non-welcome Suica, the other one, is valid for a longer time. But then there was a queue for that, and the welcome Suica was just within 5 seconds.
interesting. So let's get into the weeds with your trip. You land in Tokyo after a flight, and tell us your experience right after landing and exiting the airport. What were the first 15 minutes like? Did Japan sort of live to the expectations in terms of what you had read and heard about it? Was it overwhelming? What were the first few minutes in Japan like?
So Japan has surpassed all expectations. Living up to expectations is like a very non-Japan thing. Like Japan surprises you positively on almost everything. So the first 15 minutes, well, we are just happy to land in Japan. There was a big Nintendo board with Mario saying "Welcome to Japan." That was like childhood memories. I mean, all of us have grown up playing. Then we went into the train, which was the I think the Sky Access or Skyliner. I keep getting confused. And since Narita is far from the airport, whatever we saw was like we saw farmlands, we saw villages, and it felt like is this really Tokyo? But then after a point, you just enter the madness of the city with tall buildings and the quintessential Tokyo that you see in pictures. And then once you step out, it is a bit overwhelming because stations are huge. Like Tokyo Metro Station is, I think, one of the largest, and it has 4 levels. So just imagine something being huge and then 4 levels deep. So
Wow.
the first 1 or 2 days, you are a little confused with navigation. But Google Maps works very, very well. It will exactly tell you where to enter from, where to exit from. Like Tokyo Metro Station probably has 10, 15, maybe more, maybe 20 entry exit points. But everything is well numbered, everything has direction. You don't feel left out just because you can't read Japanese, because either everything is written in English or you can always use Google Translate. So Google Maps will tell you till the extent if you're going from point A to point B, you take this particular train from this particular platform and enter into this particular carriage so that your exit will be faster. It's
Wow.
down to that level of perfection. So yeah, we got out of the metro station. We are staying in at a station called Shimbashi, which is just 1 or 2 stations away from the Tokyo metro station. And we walked to the hotel. Very, very convenient with our luggage because everything has walkways. The metro stations at many points, although, have very limited lifts and escalators. So with luggage, you have to go up the staircase. We had to do that a couple of times, but no big deal. And then we just walked to the hotel, and a lot of things surprised us. Very, very tiny things. The Japanese lose for one, the WCs with a plethora of buttons. I think it's an experience that I would want to have one more time for the first time, and I don't think that's possible. The warm seats, the music you can play, you can adjust the water pressure, everything is automatic. It's just an experience. So the first time we experienced that, we were like, wow. A lot of other small things like security guards, when they are checking your bags, in any other country you'll have a metal detector, right? So here the metal detectors had a tiny light in front of it, so when the metal detector goes inside your bag, the guard can actually see what's inside instead of taking out all the stuff.
Okay.
The bathroom mirrors have a defogger inside, so only where your face is seen, the mirror will be defogged. So these
Wow.
are very, very tiny and well thought out things. The hotel gives you everything that you need, right from a microwave to an iron, and these are just small things about Japanese hospitality that if you've forgotten something, you are made to feel at home.
So let's walk through your itinerary in Tokyo. You check into the hotel, and then when you were looking up information specific to Tokyo, was there any particular thing that you had on your mind that was must do for you? And how did you go about covering Tokyo then?
So you can't reach there and plan. You have to plan in advance because everything is so fast and there is just so much to do. You will always start feeling that you are missing out something. So what we did in Tokyo was we wanted to explore the local neighborhoods. There was Shibuya, Shinjuku, Harajuku, and on 2 days, one day we wanted to visit Mount Fuji, and the other day was kept for the Harry Potter studio. We avoided the usual touristy things, like we didn't do Disneyland in Tokyo or Universal Studios in Osaka because we had done a lot of theme parks elsewhere in the world. None of us, including my daughter, were interested in another theme park, and especially these places get very crowded. We also didn't do the standard touristy things like going on top of Shibuya Sky or going on top of the Tokyo Sky Tree, because views of the city you would just get anyway.
Correct.
So these were our 5 days in Tokyo. One day Mount Fuji, which was raining, which was cloudy. We didn't see Mount Fuji. Felt like a waste of a day, but we got to experience some, well, not extreme, but close to extreme Japanese weather with a lot of wind, rain, cold, gray, everything, like all the things that you wouldn't want to encounter on a holiday we encountered. But on the same day, we went to something called as the Gotemba outlets, which is all your brands at like 50-60% of the price. So in pouring rain, we were running from one outlet to the other, but ended up shopping quite a lot. But the studio was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had been to the original one in UK many, many years ago. So this was like, this time we went with our daughter, so it was more special. And this had some new attractions.
Nice.
It's not like a theme park with rides. It's more like you entering the film set.
Nice. So tell us about Mount Fuji. How did you plan that trip, and how do you kind of go about getting there and coming back?
Yeah. So see, Japan commute wise is very, very easy. But for Fuji, it just seemed a little intimidating for us because there were a lot of changes to go there. And when you've planned 12 days, there are some days where you want to just sit back and relax. So we just booked a day tour. We booked it on Klook. So it was a pickup like, a few hundred meters from our hotel. And we got into a mini bus. There were about 10 or 12 people, three of which were us. So almost like a private trip with a driver and a tour guide. So we are just sitting back, relaxing, and they just took us right to the fifth station. So the fifth station is the station which apparently is closest to Fuji for a good view. Although we didn't get any, all we saw was cloudy gray.
So how much time does it take to reach from proper Tokyo City to Mount Fuji?
So there are various viewing points of Mount Fuji. Fifth station took us maybe about an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Okay, so if you're looking to plan a trip, then it's probably an entire day going and coming
It's
back
an
about
entire day,
3 hours.
100%. Yeah. But the next time we go, we will definitely stay at Lake Kawaguchiko, which is the lake near Mount Fuji. Because we want to spend a couple of nights at least at Fuji.
Okay, so that kind of wraps up your time in Tokyo. But there's one thing that I would definitely not want to miss out, knowing you so well, that you must have definitely explored the food and restaurant scene while over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Any particular thing that stood out and anything that made you really go wow in terms of the food over there?
Well, it's difficult to single out one item because every single thing in Japan makes you go wow. I think food wise, it's prudent to just skip the hotel breakfast and eat at convenience stores. Not for saving money or anything, but the convenience stores offer such good variety and such amazing quality. You wouldn't want to pass up on that. Everything from a Godiva milkshake to
Wow.
varieties of coffee to fried chicken to sushi, onigiris, etc. It's just like you'll be spoiled for choice. The process of just picking up a cup of berries and then putting it in the blender and getting a fresh berry shake,
Nice.
it's just wow. Other than convenience stores, oh, of course, the juices at convenience stores. So there's a code in Japan. If there is a picture of a cut fruit on top of a fruit bottle, a juice bottle, juice is 100% fruit, no other additives. If it's a whole fruit, then it's a particular percentage of fruit and some additives. And if it's a fruit with a cartoonish character, it means that it's hardly any fruit and more flavor. So even the Fanta there has a lot of fruit, and you can make that out. Like we had peach flavored Fanta, and it actually felt like eating a peach, including the texture on the peel of the peach, which is a little hairy. Like you would actually get that texture while you are drinking a bottled or a canned Fanta. So that's on the convenience store side. The restaurants were absolutely fabulous. I think we had ramen at just so many places. The place called Ichiran. Ippudo, Oreu, Shio Ramen, Ginza Kagari, all these were just exceptional. We had a lot of sushi. I had sashimi, and I think if I have to pick out one thing, that is what stands out. So I went in with this mindset that, okay, it's just raw fish. It may be smelly, it may be chewy, but it was just like butter. And I think I have had sashimi or nigiris with raw salmon or tuna on top of a rice ball. I think I've had it almost every day. My daughter, who doesn't eat fish, could eat this sushi. So you can just imagine how tasty, how fresh it would have been.
So one thing that really stood out what you said was about eating at convenience stores. So you also lived in Europe before. I've lived in the US. The last thing I would do is go to a convenience store and pick up food from there. So
Yeah,
the fact that you can get such tasty and nutritious food at a convenience store is something that is really unique, I guess.
no, no, absolutely. There was like we've had miso soup at convenience stores, which was tastier than miso soup which we had elsewhere. You just pick up the box, you just put in hot water, and like you said, anybody from the US or Europe will feel that why convenience stores? That's the last resort. But every night before going to our hotel, we would make a convenience store stop and we would pick up goodies and go to the hotel and eat.
Fantastic. So that wraps up kind of your Tokyo leg. Where did you head to from Tokyo then?
We went to Osaka.
Mhm.
Again, we stayed at a place called Dotonbori, and Dotonbori is like the food street. So we are staying right there, and with the objective of
And
exploring
you
food.
said that you flew from Tokyo to Osaka, correct?
Yes, yes.
And this was a part of that ANA deal.
This was a part of the ANA deal. Although I
Okay.
feel that it may have been better to take the Shinkansen because Osaka airport is Kobe, which is about an hour and a half away from the city.
Mhm.
But if we had taken the Shinkansen, we would have avoided the leg from city to airport and reached in about the same time.
Okay.
So before we discuss that, we sent our luggage with a service called as Yamato.
Mhm.
So what Yamato does is it's like the Mumbai Dabbawala, but just for luggage. So it picks up your bags at your hotel and drops it to your next hotel. And it can even do that from the airport to the hotel and from the hotel to the airport. So hotel to airport to hotel, any sort of combination. So we just traveled intercity with one handbag. That's it. And our luggage reached before us. All you got to do is go to your hotel reception and tell them, I want my luggage on this particular day at this particular hotel. And they would just check their schedule and say that, okay, the cutoff time is so and so. And you drop your bags here, we'll have them delivered. And it's very cheap.
So
It
you
costs
have to
about,
drop off the bags in the hotel itself. They
yes,
tie up with
yes.
the hotels.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then
Mumbai Dabbawala. He'll come to your home and pick it up
correct.
irrespective of where your home is. So I think 99% of hotels in Japan have Yamato service.
And then people, why do people primarily prefer that? Is that because they want to save time at the airport, or check-in baggage fees are quite high
No, no, check-in baggage is all included. It's just the convenience. So
of not
we
having
had
to carry them? Yeah.
yeah, we had three large bags, and we went with one and a half bag full and one and a half bag empty for all the shopping we did there.
Mhm.
And all the bags were full by the time we came back. In fact, flowing. So I didn't want to be carrying around 3 23 kilo bags while changing trains and heading to the airport.
Yeah, that is amazing, especially when you have to travel by train and carry all that luggage. It makes so much sense now that
Yeah,
you don't have to walk around everywhere.
yeah.
I have taken San Francisco metro before, and I have to. You actually have to still walk around with everything and then go to the airport. It's it's
Right.
it's much more cumbersome.
And it
So,
costs 1500
yeah.
per bag one way,
Oh, that's not bad at all.
which is like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at even airlines, they will charge you that much for check-in baggage fees anyway. I mean, if you
Yeah.
look around the world, $20 or 20 euros for a bag is standard. So you get to Osaka, and what was your plan in Osaka? You were there for 3 days, correct?
Yeah, we were there for 3 days. One day, the day we landed, we had no agenda. We just walked around Dotonbori, had more treats. So the food in Osaka is very different from the food in Tokyo. So you would find a lot of frying, batter, etc. in Osaka as compared to Tokyo. And we had okonomiyaki, which is like a omelette kind of a thing. We had more ramen. I went to this place called Gyukatsu Motomura, which is, I had to wait in line for an hour almost, but totally worth it. We had a lot of forgetting the name. It's like there's octopus meat in balls, like these batter fried balls. So we did that for one day. Had ramen again. So there is a chain called Ichiran, and Ichiran it's the only place to have tonkatsu, but tonkatsu is pork broth ramen. But a very similar one, which is veg, and only the Ichiran in Osaka has it. So that was good because my wife is vegetarian. So from that one day in Dotonbori, which was just chilling. Next day we went to Hiroshima and we took the Shinkansen, so which is the bullet train. Again, very very convenient. We reached in about an hour and a half. On the Shinkansen, we had bento boxes, which is another super experience. Hiroshima was just amazing, a reminder and quite inspirational that a place can go through something like a nuclear bomb and still bounce back and bounce back beautifully. So in Hiroshima, we saw the atomic bomb memorial, the children's peace memorial. There was a bunker wherein there was only one survivor of the blast, and he happened to be in the bunker because his superior forgot a particular set of documents which was kept in the bunker. So he went down to get it and the blast happened. So the
Wow.
bunker is retained as it is. There's been no change, no renovation. It's just been strengthened. But you still get those eerie feels of being there. And in fact, we are clicking pictures all around, selfies all over. But that was one place where you felt that, okay, this place is a little, it's not right to just click
Correct.
selfies here. It gives you that feel, but it's also very inspirational that you see that you can bounce back, right? From Hiroshima, we took a ferry to a place called Miyajima Island, and so the next time we go, we'll definitely stay at Mount Fuji, Lake Kawaguchiko, and Miyajima Island both. So Miyajima was a surprise. There's coast on one side, mountains on the other. There's deer roaming about the street, and it has this the floating torii gate, the red torii gate, which you see, which is quintessential Japan, right? The red gate, which is in water, that's at Miyajima. So very calming place. From Miyajima, I headed back to Hiroshima, and from there back by the Shinkansen. to Osaka.
So for all these different modes of transportation, you booked the ferry, you booked the bullet train. Did you book directly online or at the
Yeah,
counter?
yeah.
What was your process like?
So you can book the Shinkansen in two ways, maybe three ways. So one is a reserved car, one is a reserved green class car, which is like the first class car. Although I haven't traveled in the green car, but I think the normal car was just so comfortable that I can imagine the green car, like, that level of luxury, frankly, may not even be needed. And the third is just an unreserved car.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to book in advance. So there's the official Shinkansen website called SmartX, and it's in Japanese, but it also has an English version. It's very easy to book your Shinkansen tickets there. You can book a month in advance, and I would highly recommend you book in advance so that on the day you don't have to stand in queue.
Mhm.
And once you book your train tickets, you can also reserve seats. You can also choose whether you want to get a Fuji view seat or a normal seat. It's all very easy. You can just Google and you will figure it out. Tickets can also be booked on Klook, but we just booked them on the SmartX website. And once you have your IC card, which is your Suica card, you can designate your Shinkansen tickets on the Suica card. So on the day of your travel, you don't need to print out the tickets at the kiosk. You just tap your Suica card and you walk in.
Oh, nice.
So if you do that in advance, you will have like supreme peace of mind.
So in terms of the payment methods in general, when you are on the go, let's say dining at a restaurant or buying stuff at a counter, what sort of payment methods were generally accepted, and what did you frequently use during your trip?
Yeah. So I think I used credit card for about 80% of my payments.
Mhm.
I used a card called Scapia by Federal Bank. It doesn't charge you forex fees, so you save about 3.5% on every payment.
Correct.
Although it glitched when I swiped it at a merchant multiple times in a day, so it suspected that it's a fraud and it just blocked me out. I had a backup card. It's called the AUIV debit card. Again, zero markup, but that's a debit card. So these
Mhm.
two cards were like, these are the only two cards I used. I didn't use a Diners Black, although it gives very good forex rates, but it has I think a 2% markup. Okay.
Okay. And then in general, any Visa or MasterCard would work fine then
Yeah,
within
yeah.
the.
Any Visa or Master would work. However, for the street food, small vendors, even the Suica card reloads, it was cash only.
Okay.
So you can't be totally cash free in Japan, which is counterintuitive because in India, if I'm going on a domestic trip, I don't have more than 500 rupees cash in my wallet.
Exactly. Yeah.
But in Japan, you would do well to keep some cash with you.
And then how about communication? So did you sign up for any kind of cell phone service? How did you go about it being in touch while on the road?
So I use a Geo prepaid SIM and I just activated international roaming in that. Very convenient, some 1,500 rupees for some 12 or 15 days. So no hassle of changing the SIM card. For my wife, we got a eSIM from Klook. So the moment we landed, while we were still in the flight, all we had to do was switch it on and we are connected.
Okay, perfect. And in general, the connectivity was very good, you said, throughout the entire
Yeah,
trip.
yeah, and no worries on connectivity at all.
Yeah, because for a lot of these apps, I mean, that's obviously a very pertinent question because if you're using Google Maps, if you're using Google
Yeah,
Translate,
yeah.
you obviously need to be connected all the time. So tell us about your experience in terms of just interaction. You mentioned that thing that Google Translate works when you are interacting, let's say, with people at a restaurant or at a hotel, and they obviously could tell that you're not a local. What was the general vibe like? Did they obviously they were very hospitable, as you correctly said.
Yeah.
Tell us if you had any interesting interactions in terms of just language and culture while interacting with local people over there.
So the interactions are pretty standard with people in Japan. They are just so polite. Like if in a departmental store you ask somebody, where can I find this particular thing? That person will come with you till that counter, and that's quite a walk. If you ask somebody for directions, they will not just point you saying you go there. They'll take you there even if they are walking in the opposite direction. So that's how hospitable people are. Everybody is extremely polite. It's like it's a competition as to how many times someone thanks you, how many times someone bows down to you, and you never feel unwelcome. And I may be biased because I stayed in areas where people were friendly. There will be a lot of people who will give you complete opposite feedback of this in different areas of the town. I don't know about that side, but it used to be a pleasure to talk to people, especially my wife. She would speak in a little Japanese, and you could see people's faces lighting up suddenly. Tokyo was more polite, Osaka was more friendly. And
Interesting.
There's a slight difference between the two, which if you think a little, you will figure that polite and friendly are two different things, while colloquially they may sound to be the same.
Yes.
I also had some friends in Japan, Indians who were settled there, and some Japanese people, some very, very old friends from B school days. Interacted a lot with them also. So, in fact, it was because of a Japanese friend that I tried sashimi. Otherwise, I would have never dared to. We discussed a lot of things, right, from real estate prices in Japan to daily local life, commute, etc. For somebody living in Japan, as opposed to us being a tourist who only sees this for 10,
Correct.
12 days, etc.
So you wrap up your stint in Osaka. So where did you head to next after that?
After that, we went to Kyoto. So actually, some of the attractions in Tokyo, so in Kyoto, like the Arashiyama bamboo forest, a temple called Katsuoji, which is actually in a place called Katsuoji. It's away from Tokyo and Osaka both, and also the Fushimi Inari, which is the shrine with the thousand torii gates. We did all of that in a day trip from Osaka itself. So again, we had booked it on Klook because I didn't want to be navigating to three different places using public transport and then walking from the public transport to these shrines, because that's also quite a walk. So we just did a itinerary on Klook, and a tour bus took us to all three places in the same day. It didn't feel rushed at all, although there were a lot of reviews that it was quite rushed, but I think we had a very good time on the tour. So in Kyoto, then we had 1 day free. We explored the Nishiki market, again food. So I had a lot of food over there. Like I had oysters, I had octopus stuffed with quail egg, we had some mochi, and we had very good pizza, which was surprising.
Oh,
That I
really?
would say a pizza in Japan is was one of the tastiest ones I had had. I think that's the thing with Japanese. Even if something is not in their own culture, once they decide to do it, they overdo it till the point of perfection, and it's very, very hard to go wrong with food in Japan.
So you mentioned briefly about vegetarian food. How easy or difficult was it to find vegetarian food around the country?
So it's a bit difficult because it's very hard to explain what vegetarian food is, but it's
Correct.
easier to explain what vegan food is. So you'll find a lot of vegan options. If you eat egg, you are more or less sorted. You may have to eat the same stuff over and over again, but you will find food. If you eat fish, chicken, I think you'll have a very good trip. If you eat beef and pork, then the world is your oyster.
Amazing. After you finished that particular leg, you came back to Tokyo, you said?
Yeah, so 1 day in Kyoto, we did the Nishiki market and just explored around some shopping here and there. The next day, we went to Nara, which is a day trip from Kyoto.
Mhm.
We took a train called the Aonioshi, which is a luxury sightseeing train. And I call it luxury because the interiors were luxurious, but the price of the train was like 600 bucks. The only thing is it gets sold out a month in advance. The tickets open up a month in advance and they are gone in like 15-20 minutes. It's a small train, just four carriages, and each carriage sits about maybe 8 to 10 people, but absolutely amazing experience. There's a food store on board. So you can have what they call buttercream sandwiches exclusive to the train, and it drops you right in Nara. Nara was fantastic. Feeding the deer, touching them just moving around up close, personal. From Nara, we took a small hike up to a place called Nigatsudo and Urasando, a very, very tiny little town and non-touristy. So most of the tourists in Nara go up to the Todaiji temple and they stop there. So if you climb up from Todaiji, you will reach these places, and very few people, amazing food, and amazing views of the city. And from Nara, then we came back to Kyoto, another maybe 45 minutes of train ride. And then we went back to Tokyo. We used the Shinkansen again from Kyoto to Tokyo. Stayed in Tokyo in a different neighborhood just for the night, and next day morning took the return flight. So we could have taken a return flight from Osaka. So
Mhm.
Osaka and Kyoto are like let's say, well, not even Mumbai, Pune, because they are closer. You just take a local train and the local metro, and that takes you about 30-35 minutes,
Okay.
or maybe 40-45 minutes, but they are close by. But the return flight from Osaka was actually a broken flight, in the sense Osaka to Tokyo, then change of airport, and Tokyo to Mumbai.
Okay.
So that was the only option available on ANA. If there was a direct flight from Osaka to Mumbai available on our dates, I would have definitely taken that. But then this one night stay in Tokyo gave us, kind of reliving Tokyo again one last time, at least for this trip. Going
Yes.
back to those convenience stores and then eating the shortlisted items we liked. Going back again to the revolving sushi restaurants, just trying out that out for the last time in this trip. So we enjoyed Tokyo one last time in a different neighborhood. We also did team labs on the last day, and that was quite the experience. There's a vegan ramen restaurant. It's called Uzu Ramen. It's the Bib Gourmand listed in the Michelin Guide, right outside Team Labs, exclusive just to Team Labs visitors. So that vegan ramen also, I think that was the highlight, ending our trip with that vegan ramen.
So let's say you have to go, you will definitely go back to Japan
Yeah.
again. If you were to plan once again, what would you repeat, and what is it that you would try out something new when you go there again?
Repeat is, I think, you'll go back to Mount Fuji. Although we did see Mount Fuji while we were at Mount Fuji, but we did see it on the way from Kyoto to Tokyo from the Shinkansen. We'll stay at Lake Kawaguchiko definitely.
Hmm.
Want to stay at Miyajima Island near Hiroshima, definitely again. That's the stuff I would repeat. I would do 2 nights in Tokyo just for the vibe, and then we would explore northern Japan, so the Hokkaido region, and maybe we'll go in winter. We, in fact, this time didn't go for the cherry blossom deliberately because we wanted to avoid the crowds. So we
Uh,
went like just after the cherry blossom season, which is the beginning of rains, but the weather is still pleasant. Like we just encountered heavy rains on one day. That's it, because we had checked out the weather beforehand, and it worked like clockwork. But northern Japan during the winter, there's a snow festival. You'd like to do that, and cherry blossom sometime. But then again, not very keen on the cherry blossom. It's just way too touristy and way too crowded. But sometime in life, have to take that checkbox.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions. In terms of just seasonality, you mentioned that when you went, the monsoon was just about to start. The March and April is obviously very busy with the cherry blossom season. What would qualify as like a shoulder season between the busy and slightly
Well,
offbeat season?
so I only looked at the period where we were going.
Uh-huh.
And it was very clear the flight deal is the best on these particular days. It's my daughter's vacations. Work wise, we had both of us had quite a lean season. So those were the dates for us. So this time we didn't have the luxury of picking out, okay, we'll go in this season or that season. But yeah, so June, July generally is rains. That's what I know.
Okay. So in terms of simply looking at, let's say, even credit card rewards or points, when you are looking to travel the next time, are you looking at any particular loyalty programs or any particular credit card when you look at it from the point of view and say, okay, if I'm going to Japan again in 2 years, I would ideally like to have these kind of points or miles before I book my trip again?
So I think the ANA deal, which is which keeps coming up frequently, beats any sort of points because it's just like we've seen times when a Goa return flight is 25-30K, right? So you're getting Japan for 40, and I don't think you will get a Thailand or a Vietnam flight also for that amount, or maybe you'll get it just for a few thousand rupees lesser. So that just beats all of the deals. One thing I may do different is just use up my credit card points on the Smart Buy portal to book these same flights. In terms of spending there, I think for the hotels, I have not explored any loyalty program, but in Japan, I would prefer having a conveniently located hotel near a metro station in a connected neighborhood. Like there's a line called the Yamanote line, it's like a circular line which connects most of the spots in Tokyo. So I'd like to be close to that line at least, rather than having loyalty program with a particular brand and then figuring out that that brand doesn't have a hotel in this particular area. So I don't think I'll use a loyalty program for the hotels. For credit cards, any card that knocks off your uh, forex fees, uh, because it saves up like 3% almost.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of places around the world where they have more of this boutique hotel culture. They don't have a lot
Yeah.
of chains. So, I mean, one of the places that comes to mind is Switzerland, where you will see that you will not really find a lot of great options when it comes to chain hotels. And I think I'm guessing that based on your feedback, it seems like Japan is also one of those places you'd rather be spread out depending on your convenience and proximity to the stations as opposed to being loyal to one particular
Yeah.
chain.
So with a chain resort, I think it makes sense when you are on a place which is like an island or where
Correct.
there's nothing to do but chill, like maybe Koh Samui, maybe Mauritius, maybe Maldives. But in a place like Japan, where you want to soak in the outside rather than the ambience of your resort, I think boutiques make a lot of sense.
All right, then. That brings us to the fun segment of this podcast now. It's time for some rapid fire questions, very quick Q&A, and then we will wrap up this episode. So let's get started. What's one Japanese phrase that you picked up during your trip that has kind of gotten stuck in your head ever since you come back?
That's arigato gozaimasu. It means thank you. People say it all the while and many times even without reason.
Awesome. What's the best city or place in Japan according to you, and one that you would go back right away the next time?
Oh, that's a tough one, but if I have to pick one, it would be Tokyo.
According to you, what's the best time to visit Japan for someone who is going there for the first time?
I think immediately after the cherry blossom, less crowd and good weather before it starts getting ready.
If you had to eat one Japanese dish to save your life, what would that be?
Sashimi.
Any particular restaurant name or cuisine or type that you would recommend for someone visiting?
Pura revolving sushi restaurant.
And this is in Tokyo?
It's all over Japan.
Okay. Okay, now this is interesting. What was one stereotype that you heard about Japan that was confirmed? And tell me about one stereotype which kind of got debunked, if there was any.
Stereotype that got confirmed is that Japanese people are very polite and friendly. So, and everything is orderly. So much so that people cross the roads in a queue. If you are walking on a footpath, people are walking in a queue with nobody trying to break the human pedestrian queue as well. Negative stereotype, I don't think there are any.
That is an insane amount of discipline, though. So, was there any weird dish that you ate that you thought, oh my God, I never thought I would eat something like this?
I did have an octopus stuffed with a quail egg.
Wow. Any shopping steals or deals that you were bragging about after you came back?
Oh, absolutely. Now, I'm regretting that I'm going to give a long answer for a rapid fire. But there are these premium outlets. So one of them is Gotemba. So you get all your brands for 50% off. So we got Coach, Nike, Onitsuka Tiger shoes. And in Tokyo, we got some fountain pens. So the Platinum 3776, which is the flagship pen of the Platinum brand, and 3776 is the height of Mount Fuji. So I got 4-5 of those almost. Kept one for myself, the others I gifted. And I bought a few pilot pens also. These are all ink pens and more collectibles.
So I'm assuming that you had done your prior research before you went there about what to buy and stuff like that. Was there anything that intrigued you and you bought right after you went there, and something that you saw in store and you had not read about before?
I think it was the food, especially the convenience store food.
That was actually one of my next questions. That's a perfect segue, because I was about to ask you, what was the most interesting thing that you ate from a vending machine?
Vending machine. Well, I think so. We used very little of the vending machines, more of the convenience stores. But any peach flavored drink from a vending machine, absolutely any peach flavored drink, whether that's a Fanta or that's a local Japanese drink, was just out of this world.
And how about Kit Kat flavors? Did you try any
Yes, of
funky
course.
candy?
We had Kit Kat, which was milk tea flavored. Actually tastes like tea. Matcha, of course. The strawberry and peach variants were also excellent. Again, peach comes up, a very, very natural tasting peach. And we had orange flavored Kit Kat, strawberry cheesecake. There are quite a lot of flavors, but I think nothing comes close to a peach Kit Kat.
And how about any other candy? Did you find anything that was really funky and interesting that you've not seen before?
Well, the Nama chocolate, you get that in India also these days, the Nama chocolate from Royce. But there were a lot of different flavors. Like we had matcha flavored Nama chocolate, we had milk tea flavored Nama chocolate. In India, you would get the standard ones like the Ghana bitter, or I think the mocha flavored is also available in India. But I think the matcha and the milk tea were exclusive to Japan.
Amazing, amazing. All right. So last but not the least, if you had to describe Japan in just one word, what would that be?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. All right. So that wraps up our episode. I think that we got a lot of great insights from your first trip to Japan. I have absolutely no doubt that we will see your second trip to Japan very soon. And we'll be definitely having you on to share that experience as well. At the outset, I mentioned that you're quite active on social media and you also travel the world quite a lot. So if our audience wants to get in touch with you or get a hang of what you're up to, what's the best way to find you?
You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Mihir_Patki. Just drop me a DM or follow me and tag me in a post and I'll respond.
So, all right, then that wraps up our episode for today. I hope you all enjoyed this discussion about Japan. I definitely had a lot of fun and did this again, adding to my ever-growing bucket list. And after listening to Mihir's experience, I cannot wait to get there as well. Mihir, thanks a lot once again for your time and we hope to have you soon.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being on this podcast. Thank you, Ajit.
So that wraps up yet another episode of the Travel Dialogue podcast. Thank you once again for watching. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and become a part of the Travel Tribe as we grow the podcast. You can also find the podcast on other platforms like Apple Podcasts and more. You will find us on social media at the Travel Dialogue Podcast on X, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Partner with us in the growth of the podcast by supporting us through any of the links in the description below. Until then, have a great one, and we will see you in the next episode.